I couldn't hear that, Tim. Okay, folks, we'll use our outside voices. Tim, I appreciate you getting dressed up for a meeting.
You know, I'm still showing up. It's just a little remote. So.
Well, and so the Zoom looks like it's going, so we will call the January meeting of the Narberth Planning Commission to order. In case you are looking at the minutes, it's actually January 6, 2025. You didn't catch the proofreader, didn't catch that. So welcome everybody. We have a short meeting tonight, I hope. We will have our normal announcements. We will have election of officers for 2025, brief update on the recodification project, and then after public comment, we'll all take a few minutes to celebrate Jim Cornwell's service to the borough and tenure on the Planning Commission. So I'll begin with updates. Just so everyone in the commission knows, we have 2 land use applications that were received. I think the borough office has emailed them around to all of you. Good evening, Heidi.
Hi.
Hello, Dennis.
Hello.
One is for 10 Sabine Avenue. It's a minor subdivision. And second is for 425, 427 Grove, which is a consolidated preliminary and final application for a subdivision. In essence, it is a house that was formerly a twin that was combined into one house, and it's going to be re-separated into 2 houses, and they want to draw the property line back through. So that's what you've received. You all have paper copies in front of you, and we will talk about those at our February meeting. That is all I have by way of update. Tim, do you have anything to report from Montgomery County Planning Commission? You still there?
We've lost him.
I think you dropped off. We'll come back to Tim. I think they have certain grant opportunities they've announced. There might be an award opportunity. So we'll move on until Tim reconnects to approval of the minutes from December, which were circulated a couple of days ago. Thank you, Jennifer. In full disclosure, Jennifer provided those within about 1 hour of the Planning Commission meeting, if I'm not mistaken. And I neglected to send them to you till this weekend. Has everyone had a chance to look at them? Are there any questions, comments, concerns you would like to raise about the minutes? Okay, so if everyone satisfied, can we have a motion to approve the minutes as submitted?
Motion to approve.
Ralph moves. Is there a second?
Second.
Well, we're gonna need this one to Jim.
No, I get to call adjournment.
Okay, yeah. Did you bring your bell? Or your clock board? Okay, so all in favor of approving the minutes as presented?
Aye.
Any opposed? Aaron, did you vote?
I'm good. I approve it. Thanks.
Okay, so that's a unanimous vote. So Jennifer, thank you for that, and I hope you'll be submitting those to the borough office. There's a new person in the borough office.
Yes.
You know who to send it to? Okay, great, thank you. Okay, is Tim back yet? Yes.
I am back.
Tim, we in the announcement section, we just asked if you had anything you'd like to report from Montgomery County Planning Commission.
At this time, no. Or a few small things. The active transportation plan. We've been working on it diligently. We're going to be talking with Lower Merion Township in regards to the network again in the upcoming 2 weeks. So, and then once we've ironed out some of the back and forth that we've had, we're going to be pushing it out to be an interactive, essentially something interactive where people will be able to engage with it and see kind of the overall recommendations proposed, and then from there it's going to a more public engagement section. So
okay, so we should stay tuned for a fun interactive planning experience. Okay.
Yes.
Right. One other thing I neglected to mention, the borough did announce that the master parks plan is posted for public review. Michael, not to put you on the spot, is there anything you'd like to say about that?
Take a look at it, because I think that the consultant is planning on, after this round of comments, they're planning on producing a final version that's gonna be before council for consideration. So, this is kind of like folks' last big chance to be able to provide comment in that process. So, take that seriously and provide whatever comments you have.
You can find it on the borough's webpage.
Yes, there's a Master Parks Plan webpage of its own. Probably the easiest way to find it is by Googling it. And that will provide all links to kind of all past products, work products, and the current version that you can take a look at and submit comments on.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we'll move on then to election of officers. Each year, in our first meeting of the year, we elect a chair, vice chair, and secretary. So I would like to ask if there are any nominations for chair of the Planning Commission in 2025. Jim?
I would like to make a nomination for the chair, and that being Aaron.
Aaron?
Adam.
Adam.
Everybody take a deep breath. I'm really good at this.
Do we have a second in the nomination for Adam Crum for chair? Right.
second.
Okay, Adam, would you accept the nomination for chair?
I will accept.
Okay, thank you. So all in favor of appointing Adam Crum as chair for 2025? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you, Adam. It being January 6th, it's important to say we have a short, smooth transition. All we can to support your work. Let us now accept nominations for vice chair for 2025. I would, go ahead.
I nominate Ralph.
Okay, is there a second for Ralph as vice chair? Jim? Ralph, do you accept the nomination?
I do.
Thank you. Okay, all in favor of Ralph as serving as vice chair? Say aye. Any opposed? Okay, so Ralph, thank you. As with Adam, we will assure your peaceful assumption of your role and provide all support possible to your work going forward. And then finally, appointment of secretary for 2025. Would anyone like to make a nomination? Dennis, would you like to make a nomination?
No, I was just scratching my head.
So Adam, we'll go to you. Would you like to make a nomination?
I'd like to nominate Jennifer for secretary.
Any seconds of that nomination? Jim and Ralph both second that nomination. Jennifer, do you accept the nomination?
I do.
Okay, thank you. So all in favor of Jennifer serving as secretary for the coming year, say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? Okay, Jennifer, you are duly nominated, or named secretary. Thank you, and thank you for all the work you've been doing in that position.
Your task is to beat your record.
Of how fast I can get the statements out. I don't know, not last meeting, but November, I got it out like within a minute, so that might be.
She's figured out the process of doing it while she's sitting there.
Started beforehand.
So at this point, I would like to turn the chairmanship and the leadership of the meeting over to Adam.
Okay, thank you. We've through the first two agenda items, so we're on to the third formal agenda item, which is long-range planning. And therefore, we're going to ask for an update on recodification for the zoning code. I believe, Todd, you may have something to update us on?
Just a little. I'm gonna pass out what is an updated outline of the work I've been doing. Mostly since I last saw you, I've been doing what I call a table read of the zoning code. I go to a very quiet place and read it, and I've been thinking about how to organize it. I had a conversation recently with Councilmember Galdini, who's one of our liaisons on this project, and have begun to shape an outline of this. And so what I would like to do is pass out the outline. There's no action, and I want to just stress this is really important to think of this as a thought experiment right now to see what a reorganized zoning code would look like. It's very different from actually bringing legislation forward. That's, right now the point is just to think about how it could work. And so, I'm gonna pass this out just for your information. There's one or two things I'd like to flag. Going forward, I've asked Maggie Dobbs when she settles in for an opportunity to meet with her, and Adam, I mentioned that to you by email, we should try to meet with her together to talk about the work of the Planning Commission. And I think this work should go no further until after we consult with Maggie and with Michael and Jim Spear, who are our council members who are assigned to help us with this process. But what I imagine is going forward, we could share this and walk through this with the council members, with staff, and with any planning commissioners who are interested in it, and then begin to kind of see if it can really come together in the way we're thinking. So I was inspired. You said at a recent meeting, actually no, Bob Weisbord, you told me once when you came over to my house recently that you said you remembered when the form-based code was being thought about. You sat down and
Many of the people in the room now were there.
And you read
Heidi-
the code.
Heidi actually was the first person that I'm aware of that said form-based code in my
Yeah.
presence, or anybody's presence.
Yep.
And then we all Googled it. What's that? And then we found out about the Form-Based Code Institute. And then Jim invited us all to his office for a seminar on the form-based code.
I think
Yeah.
that process of sitting and reading it together and
Yeah.
looking at it as a group would be really useful. And so I think once Maggie gets her feet under her and is ready to kind of jump in, we can organize that. I also hope this is something we can at least have a picture of what it looks like, before the summer begins, so everyone can see what it might be, and then we can determine what the best course of action is in terms of whether it goes to implementation or whether it's time to look at other modifications or what have you. But that's the process I see. So I'm gonna pass a couple copies out this way, a couple out this way. I brought extra copies, so you give them out. The council members who are here.
I think I know what you're referring to now, is that when Heidi was on council,
Just one for each.
when Heidi was on council as a member of the Building and Zoning Committee, the three of them, Heidi, Matt Pettigrew, and Nancy Watts, invited the Planning Commission to sit down with them and read through the form-based code. Read through the zoning ordinance. And actually, 5 of us who are there, Eli, me, and Jim, and Dave, were all there, and Heidi, and Matt, and Nancy, and we read it, and we kept reading together, and we read for actually every other week for many weeks. And just kind of astonished, that this could really be the directions for the zoning instructions for the borough. Anyway, that was sort of sounds like what you're hoping to
Sounds
do
like a
now.
good idea to have a lot of people involved. So a few things for those of you who are looking at this again. The idea is this is not an effort to fix the code in terms of creating new parts or adding new things or addressing gaps. It's mostly a matter of see if it can be reorganized to be more usable. And the real starting point is guidance we got from the staff when we met with them a couple months ago. It has been reiterated all along. The main portal to looking at the code should be the districts. So that if you are interested in a property someplace in the borough, you can look at the district you're in and then find the rules that apply to it. Over the years, there's been a lot of amendments that have been talked in different places because they made sense, but it's almost impossible to figure out what actually are the things that apply to your district unless you were in on the creation of the code. So that is something that is in the forefront of our minds. And so in a way, the structure is in that sense, not too different, but the beginning section, the zoning districts ought to have, at the very least, a chart or a table that kind of summarizes all the rules that, and that provides references to the parts of the code that pertain to your district. That's the idea. But again, this is just a draft of a possible outline. I think the main things you'll see that are different is that conditional uses and special exception uses are kind of gathered into one place and organized more logically, because right now they're just tucked in. I mean, you'll just be reading a paragraph and all of a sudden it'll say, and by conditional use, in the middle of the paragraph. So they're all kind of brought into one place. Things that are scattered throughout the code, like rules applying to non-conforming properties, are all gathered into one place. So if you have a non-conforming building on a non-conforming lot, you can find all those rules. Right now, I've found 5 places where there's rules about non-conformities in various places in the code. So it's really, that's the sense of the project, is to kind of bring like things together, make it all more legible, and use the district as the key way that a person who wants to find out what's up with their property can enter into the code and find the rules. So hopefully by the time we meet next month, I'll have had a chance to talk to Maggie and we'll have a better sense of how we can move forward. So with that, are there any comments or questions?
So you did start,
Yeah.
So one thought is, have you thought about using any cross-referencing? So we could have under your zoning district, non-conforming issue, uses C section, whatever. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah, so if the provisions aren't in that actual section for the district, there would be a list of cross-references. Right. And G, if Muni codes allowed it, we can put live links. I don't know if Muni code allows it. You could hyperlink yourself off of the zoning code. But yeah, there would be cross-references. And so then, like, if a new conditional use is added, it'll be added to the conditional use section, but it'll be cross-referenced in the districts where it applies. Okay, well, since we have an audience here of former and current zoning gurus, any comments from the public about this project or what we've just been discussing? Okay.
Just to, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Of course I can. If you take the Narberth zoning code and you chuck it into ChatGPT and you put in your site, specifics about your site, it'll tell you a lot about what you need.
Have you done that? Have you done that?
Yeah, it's not, it's like completely, like, it's only like, it's like a clock, it's only like a broken
It's only
clock.
right twice a day?
But it's even more than that, but it gets it like 70% pretty good. It raises a lot of questions.
that's
But
where
it
we
does-
were with the old code.
Yeah, but it does give you an interesting perspective on how these things all fit together, which is, I think, what you're trying to achieve, is a better synthesis.
Well, I would say there's no question that it's clunky now, so I think anything you do would be an improvement.
You better do the manual.
Yeah, I don't know what to do about ChatGPT, to be honest. Comes up a lot. Okay, Mr. Chairman, I rest.
And if there's no further comment on the recodification, the only other remaining business is public comment. So if there's any public comment on general topics for the Narberth Planning Commission in general? No?
I have one actually.
Okay.
It's not really public, this is on behalf of the HARB. I chair the Narberth HARB. Our preservation ordinance requires that one of the HARB members be a member of the Planning Commission. So as Jim is leaving the Planning Commission, we're gonna be looking for someone else to fill that role as the Planning Commission's rep. So I just want to throw it out there for anybody who might want to consider being part of the HARB. We very similar meeting schedule to you all. We meet second Monday of every month. And, so I would say if anyone is interested, go ahead and get in touch with me, and we can have a conversation.
Okay, and we could probably try to get back to you by next Monday, right? So will we be able to discuss this? I guess we'll take, would we have to formally have council put someone on the hard?
No, it'd just be something, that's, I think, the way that I think it was basically letting us know so that we'd be able to then put them in place. If we don't have someone by this coming Monday, I think we'll still be able to proceed. We'll still have a quorum, but we won't have our full complement. But I'd rather run that risk as opposed to sort of acting too quickly or forcing somebody into who may not really want to be on it. So anyway, so I'd say if possible, if we could get it wrapped up by Monday, that'd be great. But I wouldn't make that the sort of only consideration.
Does anyone want to at least be acting for this coming Monday? When volunteering?
I'll note that I do think council has to make the appointment, so I'm not sure there will be like a formal member in place by next Monday, because our meeting is a week from Thursday.
Right, okay, yeah.
But, you know, feel free to have somebody attend the meeting in acting capacity, that's no problem. I'm sure council will approve whoever steps forward.
Yeah, it's an unusual request. The state has specific requirements, the state of Pennsylvania has specific requirements for the makeup, usually relating to someone who is a real estate broker. They require a building, sort of a zoning not a zoning officer, but rather a building inspector. But the borough added that requirement into Narberth's ordinance, so that's a sort of a slightly different spin on it. So we're working with that. So.
Or Jim, do you just want to delay your departure from the board a week? You can make it effective.
Jim is going to remain on. He will remain on the Harvard anyway as an architect.
Okay, so he's. I'm saying you could, if you delay your departure from planning commission a week, then you'd still be the planning commission member at the Harbor.
Yeah.
You'd be a voting member.
Works for me.
Okay, good.
Okay, and then we can appoint somebody in our meeting on Thursday. Week from Thursday.
So your resignation will be effective like January 14th, or 15th.
You try to get away and they bring you back.
What is happening on January 21st? That's
The cake might go off.
Yeah, that cake is gonna be stale by then, so on that basis, I sort of reject this whole idea.
Are there any commissioners who are really interested in joining the Heart, like that want to volunteer for that role? I mean, since the council would make the appointment. Nobody?
Is Aaron filling Jim's spot? Is that the plan?
Well, council will meet on January 15th to consider appointments to various commissions, I guess, including the planning commission. So we'll know. I know that we do have an alternate, Brian Kinslow, who could be considered a
Brian,
candidate.
that's what I was thinking, yeah.
And there may be others who are interested in applying. So.
Or council could rescind the requirement.
Well, no, the Harb is that was some of the state's requirements.
No, it's
that was-
not. No, it is
No,
not.
it's
That's
not.
something the borough seems to have added into the ordinance.
So let me ask you, then, can you do business with, if that person's absent, is that okay?
We would still have a quorum, but we wouldn't be squared with the requirement that the borough set up within the preservation ordinance in terms of makeup.
But if we have an appointed planning commissioner, but they're absent, you can still conduct business?
Yes.
Yeah, so they just need to be
Exactly.
appointed.
Right. Yeah, we would still have a quorum. We need to have 4 or 7.
We could always ask the solicitor if it's possible to waive
Yeah,
requirements like that,
or change the word. What's that?
or, short of an ordinance change on such a.
Maybe. All right, let's talk to
We'll
the
figure it
offline. We don't need to sort this out.
There are probably a
this minute.
series of things we're gonna be looking in terms of modifications, and that could be just one.
It's a good requirement. I wouldn't throw it out just because you can't find someone right now.
At best, I would knock it down to a recommendation. I wouldn't, because I think it's actually good, and I think that the more kind of interaction we have between like-minded and sort of people who work in the similar side of the street, I think is really good. So I mean, I actually think it's a really good requirement. So I think the state would probably have that if planning commissions were a universal thing. They, you know, within boroughs, they can't otherwise. So no, I think it's actually good.
All right,
Let's see where we stand in a week or so.
exactly, yeah, it should be fine.
Great.
It should be fine. And Jim can represent on next Monday.
All right, I'll be back next month and resign again.
So you can have a second too.
Are there any other comments on the items that we discussed today for recodification? If there's no further public comment, we can entertain motions to adjourn.
I so move.
Second? Second. All in favor of adjourning the meeting? Say aye. Any opposed? No, all right. We're adjourned, thank you. I'll stop recording, but I can leave the mic on, Tim, if you want to stay for the cake, or Aaron.
All right.